So our first card is number 29 from the Medicine Heart Oracle from Elena Fairchild. And this one is Isia, Threshold of Isis. I'll read the first section in the guidebook, and then the rest I kind of do my own thing. So it says, the spiritual realms are in active communication with your heart. Genuine spiritual guidance will always bring you back to your authentic self, your unique journey, and how to heal, empower, and express your soul with love. That is your rightful realm of personal engagement. If another is attempting to entangle you in drama, firmly and cleanly orient yourself in rightful inner place of spiritual empowerment. Cultivate compassion while focusing on your own life, heart, and purpose. Do not allow words, actions, cast from delusions of hate, fear, or jealousy to undermine your commitment to your path. A significant threshold is soon to be crossed. Stay true to yourself while embracing change. So Isia is a ceremony celebrating Isis that was back in 354 CE, and there's not much known about it. It was just around the time frame from October 28th to November 1st, and it's kind of been overshadowed by other ceremonies that took place. This card is telling us to not focus on the actions and the interactions of others, whether that be things that negatively impact or things that we want them to be impacting us, like anywhere from somebody doing something that you perceive as harmful, or you're absorbed in somebody else's journey. The focus is to be on your journey, because that's how you get past that threshold. Next, we have in our Herbal Astrology oracles, we have number 21 with Nettle, which is labeled as action. This has the astrology rulers of Mars and Pluto, so very scorpionic energy. This is direct action, fierce protector, leadership, strength, power, and the pursuit of truth and dominance. Very scorpionic energy. You know anything about herbology? Herbology, is that the right word? Herbalism. Nettle is very, very revered, and it's very, very good for the immune system. It's also comes with a price, just like the deep depths of a Scorpio has that sting, so does Nettle. So that's how I'm taking it. I don't know if that's what it's in there, but. And if you look in the card, there is a reference to snake medicine. Very powerful, very fiery and purifying energy of transformation and protection. There's a lot of that whole being afraid to handle this, because when you handle nettle, there's a certain way to do it so you don't get stung. And then after you handle it properly and cook it properly, it's very nutritious. It makes an excellent tea. It makes excellent salves and all kinds of things. This is also kind of dealing with the spiky parts of ourselves, right? It's dealing with people in that way too. Sometimes people have protective barriers on them and they sting. So instead of learning how to handle that person in a way that makes them feel safe, so maybe their guard is let down, or a way that they want to be handled, whether that be us or somebody else, then it keeps us from getting to that really nutritious and nourishing part of that person. And in the second card, we have number 6, which is Sage Blessing. And this has the astrological ruler of the moon and Jupiter. How very fitting for this full moon coming up in Sagittarius. It's blessing, purification, invocation, sacred gifts, spiritual cleansing, reassembling emotional body, and mystical sight. Understanding the relationship between us and the divine. Having a connection with that allows us to feel that safety, and surrendering to that really allows us to open up. And then we have the Liminal Forrest Oracle with signs and wander. To me, that's dropping that insecurity and fear through these signs. I think that's why we get it's whether it be from the outside or from our higher selves or from within, this is allowing us to understand and realize that I'm safe, I'm protected. There's a purpose for me to be doing what I'm doing, and there's a purpose for me to go on this journey. So we're being encouraged to wander. And then I have this first Moonology card, which says, step out of your comfort zone. This is your North Node. So your North Node and your South Node. Your South Node is supposed to be what you've mastered in your past life, what you've already overcome. Sometimes we bring some of those lessons in, not necessarily a negative way, but It's kind of like we've already been there, done that. We need to progress into a different aspect. That would be our north node. So we're being asked again to wander, to express, and to, with Jupiter in there also, we're being asked to expand and to know that we do deserve these things. We do deserve this expansion. We do deserve this closeness with the other side, right? And so we'll go to the tarot cards. If you know me, my first row is always the energy that we're in. So we have the Two of Cups. So whether this be a love connection, whether it be some type of like really creative thing, whether this be your spiritual path, this is something where there is kind of like a combination. There is a joining of two things, whether it's two souls, whether it's two sides of yourself, whether it's between you and the divine, or it's you immersing in your creative self. And we have the Nine of Cups on the bottom, which Nine of Cups is harmony and it's satisfaction. And if you remember yesterday, we had the Nine of Cups in the last card in the last reading. So maybe this is a continuation of that. I feel like we are at a point where we really need to recognize what we really do have. Really look at emotionally and creatively and spiritually where we're at. And if this isn't a love connection, maybe kind of look at the plus sides, right? Quit looking for all the downfalls. Quit looking for the other shoe to drop. Pay attention to why you're in this, what you're in, right? Why are you doing this? What is the deep soul purpose of being in this connection, whether it be with somebody else's project, your spiritual path, whatever it is that brings you that watery spiritual feeling. And the second cards are always my, what you need to work on, but they kind of look good. I mean, you have the Ten of Wands, which Ten of Wands, it can be like you're overburdened. But sometimes it can also be like you're at the end of something, and wands to me are always spiritual. So I feel like this is saying that we've gathered a lot along the way. We worked hard, right? For me, the Ace of Pentacles always feels like you have on the material plane, you have mastered all aspects, right? You have the resources, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding, the depth, right? And that would make sense being that it's underneath the 10 of Wands. This is a journey that's been hard, but at the same time, you've gained so much from it. So maybe as something we need to work on, maybe we need to understand how we can use that in our daily life, how we can use that to recognize the gifts and the blessings that we really do have. And then my third row is always, which kind of feels like this should be swip swap, but that's okay. Always is what you have around you, the energy you have around you, whether it be people or resources or energy that you need to tap into, planetary, inward or outward, whatever that you could use to help you on this journey, okay? So we have the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands to me is always spiritual protection. I don't know why, but that's what I think of when I look at it. It can also be you standing up for what you believe in. And when we have that Ace of Cups down there, I feel like that's kind of part of it. It kind of goes hand in hand. Like you are spiritually protected. The Spirit is giving you a cup. You are being given the awareness, the understanding. You're supported on this path, right? Stand firm in what you believe. You're somebody who is very proud of who they become, and don't let any doubts or somebody else's understanding of what you need to be doing kind of get in your way. You have an understanding of who you are. You have the backing of Spirit, right? So I feel like that's what that's saying. And then the last row is just freaking beautiful, if you ask me, is the Ace of Wands and the High Priestess. So the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands to me is also a very gifts from Spirit type of thing. This is something about having like a new ignition, a new inspiration, whether it be spiritual. And wands are always spiritual to me because so I'm going to use it. It's something that's firing you up. So we're at this point, and I feel like having the High Priestess underneath is telling me that we are intuitively in tune and understanding what this means. We have the power, to quote He-Man, we have the power to really do this thing. You need to understand and feel it out. You need to understand what your insights mean to you. So this is a beautiful new thing that's coming in for you, whoever this is for. And you need to understand what your emotions and what your insights are telling you, because you're greatly protected in this. This feels like somebody who is on the right track in their path. We always have ways to go. I don't think we ever master it, but this is somebody who has started to understand where they're at. And we have a new moon in Capricorn, which is your hard work is paying off. Yes, absolutely. All those wands that we carried, right? All this inner work that we keep doing. And I say keep doing because it's like I said, it's a never ending process. I feel like we just keep evolving and we keep learning lessons because new people bring new lessons. We're learning lessons as the people around us are learning lessons, and we bounce those off each other. It's just nature. Things that interact with each other affect each other. So different people on different vibrations are going to affect you at different levels, right? So we're always learning, and we've done a lot of work. So we are going to get this reward. I feel like this reward, either it's an increase in your emotional state, it's an understanding. It deeply feels very spiritual, but it can also be a connection with those Two of Cups there. I had kind of lovey stuff yesterday, and you know how I feel about that. I have no idea why. I am happily married, but whatever. But I feel like this is definitely something that can be beneficial in that way, because when you're a healed person, you can love so much greater. And I feel like the same thing goes for like your spiritual path. We embark on a spiritual path thinking that like everything is just going to be solved, and then a lot of times what we do is we just dive so deep into ourselves, which sometimes is needed, but then we kind of forget the outside world when the whole point is to interact with others in a harmonious way. It's just you're understanding so much more. This is like spiritual evolution for me. And it's like, I'm not saying, this is somebody who is leveling up. We're really getting to a place where things are starting to fall into place. It's still going to be work. And that just means that as we go along, understand the lessons, understand the insights that you're getting. And I feel like the more you do, the more you understand these things, the more spiritual that deeper connection you get within yourself, that deeper connection you get with people you love, and the deeper connection you get with spirit. So our last card, and I always love this card. This is from the Goddess Within Oracle, and this is White Buffalo Calf Woman. So the story of her is, so these two hunters greet her, and the one has like ill intent, like he's, wants to harm her, da-da-da-da-da. And so I think he makes a move or whatever. So she covers him with dust and he turns into a pile of bones. The other hunter recognizes that she has some sort of divinity. He feels her energy. He understands who she is. He gets it, right? So rather than being afraid, he gets it. And so he goes back to his people and he tells them. And then what she does is she goes to the tribe, she goes to the people, and she offers them a sacred pipe. And she teaches them 7 ceremonies. She reteaches them their lost knowing of talking to God, talking to heaven, talking to spirit, talking to the great one. So this gift that she gives to them. And then when she walks away, she walks off and turns into a white buffalo calf. I just love that story. I just think it's cool. But it talks about you're going to have ups and downs, right? Not everything is going to be perfect, right? But you have to trust in your path. So that hunter trusted her. He sensed that there was a knowing, right? He wasn't afraid of her because of what had happened to the guy that was with him, right? He trusted her because he could feel it. He trusted his feelings. He trusted the divine, and he trusted the divinity in her. And so for that, his people were greatly rewarded. But I feel like we just have to be reminded that, faith, trust, and that has been such a big message lately is trust. And this is something that I struggle with a lot. I'm always worried that the shoe is going to drop, that the floor is going to drop out from underneath of me, that the carpet's going to be pulled in, whatever scenario you want to put to that. I have that deep fear. It's a big part of feeling like you're not worthy of good things. We are worthy of good things. We are all inherently worthy of good things. This is the whole purpose of having faith. Understanding that the work that we do, the efforts that we put in, the understanding that you have helps create the reality that you want, right? The ups and the downs teach us these lessons to evolve us in a farther part of our journey. I hope that helped somebody today. If you like this, please press like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.